Hi guys, Michael here. The topic that I've chosen for my persuasive speech is suicide prevention. The reasoning behind me choosing this topic is it's something that has had an impact on my life for quite some time now. When I pair that with the latest trend on Facebook, seeing people dumping buckets of ice water on themselves for the purpose of raising awareness or raising money for the research of ALS, hopefully to find a cure, which I hope that they do, as well as the recent media coverage of Robin Williams' death. So I want to share with you guys, a few statistics and a few other reasons behind what makes this a prevalent issue. And I'm sure that all of us who enrolled in Stotzenberger College did so because we wanted to get out there in the community, we wanted to make a difference, we wanted to save the lives of animals. But what about the human beings that are taking care of these animals? There's a lot of different things out there that affect people a lot of different ways. Substance abuse, depression, multiple different things. So I want to share with you guys the fact that suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States every year. With that being said, it is also the second leading cause of death in persons in the age range of 25 to 34 years old, and it is the third leading cause of death for persons between the ages of 15 and 24. These statistics come from the National Institute of Mental Health, which was founded April 15th of 1949. And the reasoning behind this organization coming to fruition is because, knowledge was becoming more and more accessible in the late 1940s, and the medical industry started noticing a trend in different types of mental illnesses, started developing new definitions for those illnesses, and they started seeing a lot more people committing suicide. So they kind of wanted to get in there and figure out what was going on, what was causing people to commit suicide, and start trying to find ways to help prevent that from happening. My personal story is when I was 7 years old, my father committed suicide. He had some substance abuse problems, and he, from what my mother tells me, had some issues with depression as well. Now, growing up with a parent leaves a lot of questions, makes you have a lot of these weird feelings where you feel like people just abandon you, a lot of different things going on there. And what I found is, as I got older, these things started to have more and more of an impact on my life. Started impacting the way that I dealt with my friends, impacted the way that I handled myself in social situations. I always kind of kept people at arm's length as a result of that. And shortly after I started high school is when I really started getting involved in drinking and smoking cigarettes, and started dabbling with drugs. My mother didn't know that any of this was going on because since she was now a single parent of 2 boys with a mortgage to pay and all those other responsibilities that come with being a parent, she didn't have a lot of time to really pay attention to what was going on in our lives. So with that being said, I kind of started going down a road that I don't want to say that I wish I had never went down. I am 100% thankful that God led me down that road because it brought me to where I am today. So after high school, things kind of just spiraled out of control. I did a lot of drugs, a lot of drinking, and through my years of therapy, speaking with counselors, psychiatrists, trying different types of medications in order to try and bring my brain basically back into the correct chemical alignment, is that I was just self-medicating. And this seems to be pretty common with people who are dealing with depression or who just generally have some type of mental illness, such as a manic depressive bipolar disorder, stuff like that. So when I was 23 years old, I kind of just got to the point where I felt like I had had enough of life, and the bad circumstances that seemed to constantly be surrounding me. What I didn't know at the time was I was the one surrounding myself with those bad things, because seeing all those bad things going on around you makes it so that you don't feel so bad about what's going on inside of you. So one night I swallowed a whole bottle of Valium, and I was in the hospital for about 3 days before I finally woke up and found myself in a psychiatric unit. And I guess that was the point in time in my life where it was time to change what was going on. I realized really quick that I was walking down the same path that my father walked down, and I knew that the moment that I woke up in that hospital room, God had a different plan for me. I'm 34 years old next month, and I honestly still don't know what that plan is. But I've developed better ways of dealing with those circumstances in life that don't really agree with my perception of what life should be. So I've come to a place where I'm really happy. To me, it's a shame that people are spending so much time worrying about whatever problems are going on in their lives without realizing that life is never supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be challenging because it shapes you into the person that you were always meant to become. And at some point in your life, you're going to look back at all those difficult times that you went through, and you're going to see that it was all great. Even when it seemed absolutely horrible, it was great. You realize that at a certain point in your life that you have an immense amount of things to live for in this world. All you have to do is find those reasons. There's no reason why we need to continue down this path of, an estimated 35,000 people every day deciding that they have nothing left to live for. And for me, the biggest thing comes down to finding someone to share your story with. Because a story that may seem irrelevant to you or pointless or not important to somebody else's life could have a major impact in the life of somebody else. It could be the one thing that turns them around and says, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I do need to stick around and see what this life is going to throw at me and do the best that I can to do it with a smile on my face. So, the number that I just threw at you, the 35,000 people a day that are killing themselves, it maybe in the population of the United States alone, where we have the most recent numbers put it at about 314 million people, that may not seem like a very large number. And I don't know how many of you have ever been to Cleveland Browns Stadium or to Progressive Field, but this might help kind of put those numbers into perspective. At 35,000 people a day who are committing suicide, that basically boils down to, if you were to fill half of Cleveland Browns Stadium, that's how many people today are going to commit suicide. That's how many people tomorrow are going to commit suicide. And so on and so forth. If you were to take a look at Progressive Field, the capacity for that field is about 40,000 people. So you're looking at an entire stadium full of people that today, again, are going to commit suicide. Or tomorrow, they're going to commit suicide. These are factual numbers that were put out by the National Institute of Mental Health. So I think the biggest thing that we can do as a community is get out there, touch base with your local counseling centers. See if there's any way that you could get in there and start volunteering your time, even if it's just to sit there and listen to somebody tell their story. Because I know for me, the biggest thing that drove me down a very, very dark path in my life was feeling like I had nobody to tell my story to, because I didn't think anybody would think that it was important. So for more information on ways that you can either donate money or become more active in your community, look up the National Action Alliance for Suicide Prevention. They have a lot of helpful resources there. I think it's about time that we start raising awareness on a lot more other issues. Suicide prevention definitely being one of them. There's no reason why another 35,000 people should have to die today, tomorrow, and the next day, and so on and so forth. So thank you for your time, guys, and I really hope that my story helped raise your guys' awareness and got you to a point where you feel like there is something more that you could be doing. Thanks again.